What do you mean, she gets everything? The words burst from Emily's lips before she could stop them, her voice sharp enough to cut through the heavy silence of the lawyer's office. Her stepmother, Clarissa, sat across the room, perched on the edge of an overstuffed leather chair. She didn't even flinch. Instead, she smoothed the hem of her skirt with a calm that made Emily's stomach twist. How could she stay so composed? Dad hadn't even been gone a week. The lawyer, Mr. Harrington, adjusted his glasses and cleared his throat. Your father's will is quite clear. As his spouse, Clarissa inherits the estate, the house, and... No, Emily interrupted, her hands gripping the arms of her chair. That can't be right. Dad wouldn't do that. He loved me. He wouldn't leave me with nothing. Clarissa leaned forward, her dark eyes locking onto Emily's unsettled gaze. Emily, darling, she said, her voice soft but deliberate in intention, your father loved you dearly, but life moves on. You'll find your way. You're young. Emily's jaw tightened. Finding her way wasn't the issue here. This wasn't just about money or property, this was about fairness. About what her father would have wanted. She turned back to Mr. Harrington. Can I see the will? I want to read it for myself. The lawyer hesitated, glancing briefly at Clarissa before nodding. He slid a document across the polished desk toward Emily. Of course. Take your time. Emily snatched it up, her eyes scanning the words with growing disbelief. It didn't make sense. Her father had always been meticulous about his affairs. He'd promised her that she would be looked after. But here it was, plain as day, Clarissa's name in bold black ink, the sole beneficiary of everything Emily thought was hers. Her fingers trembled as she flipped through the pages, searching for something, anything, that might explain this. And then she saw it. A handwritten note, faint but legible, tucked into the corner of the last page. In the event of my passing, my handwritten will supersedes all others. Signed, Jonathan Carter. Emily's breath caught. She glanced up at Mr. Harrington, who was now avoiding her gaze. What's this? She asked, holding up the scrap of paper. Is this legal? Mr. Harrington adjusted his tie. It could be, he admitted slowly. But it would need to be verified. Without official attestation, it's difficult to say. Clarissa stood abruptly, her composed demeanor cracking for the first time. Emily, she said sharply, this isn't productive. Let's not drag this out. Your father left things as they are for a reason. But Emily wasn't listening. Her mind was racing, trying to piece together what this meant. If the handwritten will was valid, then everything could change. She needed to know more. Where did this come from? She demanded, glaring at Mr. Harrington. He shifted uncomfortably in his seat. It was found among your father's personal effects, he admitted reluctantly. It was included with the documents submitted to us. Emily's heart pounded. Personal effects. That meant it wasn't just hidden, it was buried. And if it was buried, there had to be a reason. She stood abruptly, clutching the will in her hand. I'll be back, she said firmly before turning on her heel and striding out of the office. The cold autumn air hit her face as she stepped outside, the crisp breeze carrying the scent of fallen leaves. She paused on the sidewalk, her mind spinning. If her father had hidden a will, there had to be more to it. More he wanted her to find. She pulled out her phone and dialed the number of the only person she trusted right now, her best friend, Sarah. I need your help, she said without preamble. Meet me at my dad's house. Now. Sarah didn't ask questions. She never did. 30 minutes later, Emily was standing in the foyer of the house she'd grown up in, the familiar scent of her father's aftershave lingering in the air despite his absence. Sarah arrived, her cheeks flushed from the cold. What's going on? She asked breathlessly as she stepped inside. Emily handed her the crumpled piece of paper without a word. Sarah scanned it quickly, her eyes widening. Emily, this could change everything. I know, Emily said, pacing the hallway. But I need to find the rest of it. There has to be more. He wouldn't just leave this, it's incomplete. There's something missing. Sarah nodded, her determination matching Emily's. All right, where do we start? Together, they began their search, room by room, drawer by drawer. The house felt different somehow, emptier, quieter, as if it too was mourning its loss. But underneath the grief, Emily felt a spark of hope. Her father had left her a clue, and she wasn't going to stop until she found the answers. Hours passed, frustration creeping in as they found nothing. Just as Emily was about to give up, Sarah called out from the study. Emily, come here. I think I found something. Emily hurried to join her, stepping into the cozy room lined with bookshelves and family photos. Sarah was crouched by the desk, her fingers tracing along the edge of the wooden drawer. It's jammed, she said, tugging at it. But look, there's something wedged in here. Emily knelt beside her, their shoulders brushing as they worked together to pry the drawer open. Finally, it gave way with a soft creak. Inside, nestled among old pens and paper clips, was a small, sealed envelope labeled for Emily. Her hands trembled as she picked it up, the weight of it heavy despite its size. She glanced at Sarah, who gave her a reassuring nod. Open it. Emily tore open the envelope, her heart pounding as she unfolded the letter inside. The familiar handwriting of her father filled the page, and tears welled in her eyes as she began to read. My dearest Emily. If you're reading this, then I'm no longer here to protect you. I've left behind more than just material things. Legacies are built on truths, not possessions. But truth can be dangerous, and I've tried to shield you from it for as long as I could. There's more to our family than you know, secrets buried deep that could change everything. I've left you what you need. What is it? Sarah interrupted, leaning closer as Emily's voice trailed off. What does it say? Emily blinked, her throat dry. He says, there's more to find. Something. Emily stared at the envelope in her hands, her heart pounding as if it might burst through her chest. The room felt suddenly smaller, the air thicker, as if the walls were closing in around her. Clarissa's words from earlier echoed in her mind. You're not entitled to anything, Emily. But this was her father's voice, his handwriting, his secrets. It wasn't Clarissa's to keep. Sarah shifted beside her, her shoulder brushing Emily's. Open it, she urged softly, her voice tinged with both curiosity and concern. Let's see what he left for you. Emily hesitated, her fingers trembling as they traced the edge of the envelope. It felt fragile, as though it might crumble under her touch. She glanced at Sarah, whose bright eyes were fixed on her, full of encouragement. Taking a deep breath, Emily carefully peeled back the seal. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded neatly. She unfolded it slowly, revealing her father's familiar handwriting. The ink was slightly faded, but the words were unmistakable. Emily. If you're reading this, then I'm no longer here to protect you. I've left behind more than just material things. Legacies are built on truths, not possessions. But truth can be dangerous, and I've tried to shield you from it for as long as I could. Clarissa, she's not what she seems. There's more to our family than you know, secrets buried deep that could change everything. I've left you what you need, find the key to the safe in my study. It's hidden where we used to play hide-and-seek when you were a child. Trust no one, not even Clarissa. _love. Dad _ Emily's breath caught. The letter was cryptic, his warnings vague yet ominous. She reread it twice, her mind racing to piece together what it could mean. Clarissa wasn't what she seemed. What secrets had her father been hiding? And where exactly was the key? What does it say? Sarah asked again, her voice soft but insistent. Emily handed her the letter, her hands still trembling. Sarah scanned the words quickly, her brow furrowing in concentration. When she finished, she looked up, her expression a mix of confusion and determination. This is serious, Sarah said, her tone firm. Your dad left that for a reason. We need to find that key. Emily nodded, though her mind was still reeling. The study, she murmured, more to herself than to Sarah. He said it's hidden where we used to play hide and seek. Sarah stood, pulling Emily to her feet. Then let's go find it. The two made their way to the study, a room that had always felt imposing with its towering bookshelves and heavy mahogany desk. Emily paused in the doorway, memories flooding back. She remembered hiding behind the curtains, giggling quietly as her father pretended not to see her. His booming laughter echoing through the room when he discovered her. Where did you used to hide? Sarah asked, pulling Emily from her thoughts. Emily scanned the room, her gaze settling on the bookshelf in the corner. Behind there, she said, pointing. There's a small alcove. They moved to the shelf, Emily carefully running her fingers along the edges of the wood. It felt surreal, searching for something her father had hidden years ago. Her fingertips brushed against something rough, a slight indentation in the paneling. She pressed it gently, and a small drawer slid open, revealing a tiny brass key. Got it, Emily whispered, holding it up for Sarah to see. Sarah grinned, her eyes lighting up. Now what? Emily glanced around the room, her gaze landing on the safe tucked discreetly behind the desk. She hadn't noticed it before, but now it seemed impossibly important. She knelt in front of it, inserting the key into the lock. It turned smoothly, and the door clicked open. Inside was a stack of documents and another envelope, this one labeled with her name. Emily's hands shook as she reached for it, her stomach twisting with anticipation. She opened it quickly, pulling out the contents. It was a will, her father's true will. The one that Clarissa had tried to keep hidden. Emily skimmed the pages, her heart pounding as she realized what it meant. Her father had left everything to her. The house, the estate, his investments, everything. Clarissa had been lying all along. Emily? Sarah's voice was gentle, pulling her back to the present. What does it say? Emily looked up, tears welling in her eyes. It's all mine, she said hoarsely. He left it all to me. Sarah's eyes widened, but before she could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed down the hall. Emily froze, her heart skipping a beat. Clarissa's voice carried through the house, sharp and demanding. Emily? Are you in here? Emily's pulse spiked. She quickly stuffed the will back into the envelope and slid it into her bag, her movements hurried and frantic. Sarah grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the window. Come on, Sarah whispered urgently. We need to go. Emily hesitated, glancing back at the safe. But. Not now, Sarah interrupted, her tone firm. We'll figure this out later. Emily nodded, allowing Sarah to guide her out the window and into the cool night air. They moved quickly, keeping to the shadows as they made their way to Sarah's car parked a few blocks away. Once inside, Emily exhaled shakily, her hands still trembling. What now? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Sarah reached over, placing a reassuring hand on Emily's knee. We take this to Mr. Harrington. He'll know what to do. Emily nodded, though her mind was still spinning. She leaned back against the seat, closing her eyes as Sarah started the car. The weight of everything, her father's death, Clarissa's deceit, the secrets she was just beginning to uncover, felt overwhelming. But Sarah's presence beside her was a comfort, a reminder that she wasn't alone. As they drove through the quiet streets, Emily glanced at Sarah, her heart swelling with gratitude. Thank you, she said softly. For everything. Sarah smiled, her expression warm and reassuring. Always, she replied simply. The tension between them crackled in the silence, unspoken words hanging in the air. Emily felt a strange pull, a magnetic energy she couldn't quite explain. She turned away, gazing out the window as the city lights blurred past. But the spark lingered, a quiet promise of something more. The night stretched on, the road ahead uncertain. But as Emily clutched the envelope tightly in her hands, she knew one thing for sure, her father's secrets were about to change everything. And she was ready to face them head-on.